Good afternoon, guys. I am Dr. Eckis here with Miss Haley Robinson. So excited to have you on our virtual Young Alumni Spotlight. So proud you could join us for a few minutes. And as I stated, we'll be using this video on our website to promote our live event in April. And we're going to promote this to high school juniors and seniors and community college students who are a little bit unsure about what direction they want to take in life. So your words of wisdom are going to help out a good number of folks. So we are so delighted to have you. And tell us a bit about yourself and why you chose to attend Troy and what your major was.
Okay, so thank you guys for having me. It's such an honor. I am such a proud Trojan in so many ways. I started in Troy August of 2015. It was close to home. I was the kind of person who I didn't really want to go away from school, but Troy was short enough away to where I felt kind of like that independence, but I was also still close to home. And with that, they had so many options for majors and opportunities. So that just kind of felt like the best route for me. It's a very hometown feel. The town itself is just full of love, full of spirit, and that's just one thing that I love about it. I chose the information systems route, and when I started out, I actually explored many majors, and I actually changed my major 7 times before I went right back to the College of Business to where I just kind of felt at home. So for me, Troy gave me that flexibility to explore what I wanted, but I fell in love with the College of Business and the information system staff and program that's just what I stuck out with.
Well, let me just stop you there too, because that's perfectly fine. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone falls in love with their major at age 7. They
Yeah,
just don't know. And the flexibility is fantastic that we as professors create that culture of caring. And we
of
understand
course.
you don't always know that. And we're here to guide you and direct you. Now, again, spending, not wasting time, but figuring out what you want to do for the rest of your life is super important.
Yeah, because once you get out, you start to see that, some choices, good or bad, college really gives you that oomph to be like, hey, this is where I see myself for the next 5 years, 10 years, even if it's a career switch. And that is one thing about Troy, that even if it's just like, hey, I got my major in HR or information systems, I want to go to human services, there's always that pillar of support there in your
Yes.
life that, like, hey, I can call Dr. Eckes and she can put me in contact with somebody who can get me where I want to go. So for me, that was a big thing, was the support. And now I've been a network security engineer for about 3 years now. And without that Troy support and oomph and push, I honestly do not think I could have stuck it out. But the rigor and the expectations that the professor set has made my career like kind of just fly in a sense, because everything just comes to me so easy because they established that work ethic at Troy your first year.
That's awesome. So tell us, is there something that one pinnacle event or professor that made you come back to IS?
Yes. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. It's a couple. I love to give out
Okay.
my list. Obviously you were such a big part of my Troy experience. Dr. Bowler,
Yes.
Dr. Rouse, Miss Thomas, Sandra Thomas
Oh,
in
yes.
IS. I mean, Dr. Dove and just everybody in Blankenship in operations. Like I was like, all my professors had such a big impact on me that when I took my first, it was my first IT class, and it was basically like the IT fundamentals, like
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Office fundamentals class. And Miss Thomas was my
Sandra.
teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so scared about it because I'm like, okay, I'm not a tech person. I'm not any of this. I'm just good with social media, stuff like that. But she was just so helpful. And I asked her, I'm like, okay, well, what is IS? And she took me to Miss Rouse, and Miss Rouse was so excited about it. She was so excited about the subject. And she was just like, you would be good. It's analytical. I know it's computers, but I promise you, it is one of the most rewarding careers. And I was just like, okay. And then between that, I joined the IT Society, and they invited me out to go to Hudson Alpha. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of the first IT experiences I've ever seen where it's like a server room and all this type of stuff. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So I think the IT Society taking me to Hudson Alpha was the first time where I was just like, I can have a real career in this. So it was kind of like that eye opener when they were telling me all the jobs and everything. And I know everyone says do not chase the money, but then they were like, we get great money for just doing these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then fast forward a year or so later, they put me in Dr. Bowler's class, and he was phenomenal. Like everything I was scared of, he was so patient, he was so kind, and
Yes.
he was very patient with me in learning everything. And anytime I had a question, he picked up the phone and he was like, hey, we can do this, you can get through it. And it was phenomenal. I love the entire IS faculty. Like they were my biggest inspiration for my career choice.
Me too. I love all being like Jeff and Sandra and Joanne and
Yes.
Dr. Dove, and they're all fantastic. And I
Yes.
hear people remember them. It's been several years. It's so nice that students remember that type of thing, and that's how we are at Troy. I don't want you to remember
Yeah.
names or just like that blonde and econ. I mean, you don't have to remember my name
Right.
sometimes, but you can say that's fine.
Yes, one thing I do love for sure is that Troy, there's a lot of people, but it's small enough to where there's so much love. And even then, you remember those professors because there's going to be a time in everybody's college career where you're just sitting up there with that homework, that assignment, and you're just like, I do not know what to do. And that professor is going to pick up the phone and be like, oh,
Yes,
it's this. Like, they are so they're leaders before they're professors. And
right.
that is what I love about the College of Business itself, from my perspective. And that guidance just kind of supported me in what I'm doing today.
We want to see you succeed. I mean, I want you to learn
Yeah,
economics, but I want you to see you succeed in the next 5 and 10 years. And
right.
the next question is, I know a little bit of your insight, but give us some insight on your next steps into perhaps your career, where you are currently, and what
Yeah.
educational items are you pursuing currently?
Gotcha. So my educational journey, I love college. Okay. My mom has always called me a career college student. Okay. And my next step is I'm currently in the process of going through interviews and the application process for a doctoral program at St. Thomas University down in Miami Gardens. And it's for the Doctor of Business Administration with a concentration in cybersecurity management. Currently, I am the only cybersecurity network security engineer person at my job in our firm. And
Wow.
our firm is about 500 people. We're expanding. We have our office in India, and we're getting some more offices in the rest of the states. So for me to take that step into even doing the doctoral program on top of my career, it goes back to that push and support I got from my professors and that leadership at Troy, where it's just like, you can become and do whatever you want to do as long as you are dedicated, you do what it takes, and you ask for help. And with that, like the minute I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this PhD, oh my gosh, Miss Lane. So it was like so easy for me to kind of reach out and just get that resource and support. And a lot of people, I will say, they know Troy and they notice Troy. And they're like, hey, you went to Troy. Everybody knows someone who's went to Troy. I've come to realize. So when they see that Trojan stuff on your resume, on your degree, it speaks volumes to people. It really does.
I can't say how proud I am of you for taking that next step and that cybersecurity. It's just going to be
Yes.
really going to set you apart. That's just wonderful.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so tell us pick one experience potentially that professionally, socially, whatever that you kind of remember from your time at Troy University that might resonate with some of the students to help you get where you are currently.
Let's see, to get where I am. So, oh my, there's so many. Let me pick my favorite.
Okay.
So I ended up joining Delta Sigma Pi,
Okay.
which is a business or like business fraternity organization at the college. And it was a defining moment, I think, in my just my evolution into leadership, kind of, because I got to serve and like as a chapter officer, and we had all these good just like support systems and stuff that supported our organization. Initially when I joined it, I was like, a business fraternity, I don't really know that much about it, but I did it. And from that it spanned into just developing leadership skills, and we had speakers, and then eventually Toastmasters was kind of born
Mhm.
out of that with Dr. Bowler's leadership.
Yep.
And for me, those moments of being a leader within the College of Business was unlike anything, because it taught me those social skills. It taught me how to talk to people, how to talk to other business professionals, how to plan. We planned a fundraising event that we had at B. Grace, and we raised so much money for our organization that it taught me those financial skills, and that kind of set me on my journey where I am now. Because coming in, before I joined that organization, I had no idea what it took to plan an event, to lead people, to sit here and come up with a project plan. Like,
Right.
those are the type of skills that you learn in class, but it also makes it better to learn it outside of class, just in your real life setting. So for someone starting out like me, join whatever organization you can join within your college, within the university. I was on SGA, which was a defining moment. And even that, like being there doing Robert's Rules of Order, just, going through and seeing how things worked as far as, planning and helping and putting your mind together with people who come from all walks of life, that will help you in defining your college journey and who you will become once you cross the stage. It's one thing to get a degree from Troy, but everything else, that experience on top of that degree, makes us a student body just a force in an alumni network that spans all across the country, that has an impact on every industry you can think of.
Well, arguably, I think you're probably the top 5% because you did that, but you had to make
Yeah.
the effort. You had to put forth the effort
Yeah, for
to
sure.
search. And I've got to, prioritize my time and my studying and my job and my family. But I've got
Yep.
to get this organization that I've committed to. So there's
Right.
these moving parts that made you this leader, but it wasn't for free. There's some time costs
Right.
attached to it. But you sit in the interview and they ask you to answer this question I just asked you, and that's the most, eloquent answer that they could.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
And it's
one
the
thing
truth.
I will say, it's so true. And I love that you say that we're in that top 5%, because
Yes.
my philosophy is, when I do something that I love, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like
Right.
stress. It doesn't feel like anxiety. When you do something that you're truly interested in and that you love, time management it comes easy to you. When you're doing something that is just like, oh, I don't want to do this, time management is hard because you have to push yourself and assert yourself. But I will say Troy University has so many organizations that you can fall in love with. And when you're
Absolutely.
doing something that you love and you have a major that you're dedicated with and people to help you and support you, that time management, you learn it and you take off. And those are skills that you never forget.
Well, I think that's a really great segue point. If you had to give some advice to these students, I think it would be a similar. Find what you love,
Yeah,
and if you don't love it, like move on to something else.
right.
Admittingly, so a 4-year degree is not for everyone. It is
Mm-hmm.
finding the passion that where you feel your job is not this taxing, burdensome, just
Yeah, of course.
on me, something that I'm helping people with. And sometimes that requires you to step back and mature a little bit. But
Yeah, and that's another thing that comes with it, right? Because when you're in high school, you're coming out of senior year, everything you know about your life is, okay, gotta go home, do my chores,
like,
gotta go
mm,
to school for 8 hours, gotta go to football practice, gotta go to this type of stuff. When you step into college, whether you're an athlete or you're in the SGA or you're just a student trying to figure out what you're trying to do, don't stress. And my biggest thing is, do not be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to not figure out that you don't like something that you always thought you like. A lot of people go into college scared of what they don't know and scared of who they will become. become that person.
Right.
Right? Because if you're living in fear and you want to stay in this little nestled little cocoon, that's fine to be introverted, but also don't stop yourself from dreaming because of fear, you
Absolutely.
know? And that's one thing for college kids is college is a world of opportunities, whether it's a 2-year degree, whether it's a certificate, whether you're
Mm-hmm.
getting a master's, a doctoral degree, a bachelor's, it's a world of opportunity for you, and there's resources for you. So don't be scared to grow. If you get into education and you think, hey, I wanted to be a teacher my whole life, but then you see something else, it's like maybe I don't want to be a teacher anymore. Don't beat yourself up about that.
Right.
Just try it. You'll never know until you try.
And education changes you. It's not
Yeah,
a positive or a negative statement. It simply makes you a better person, in my opinion. But it will change
right.
the way you look at things in life. And you also have to accept that. You may have to grow out of that little cocoon and move to
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta and take on these responsibilities that you never thought you'd be out of your
Yeah.
area of town.
Even
Look at you now thriving.
like, look, when I moved into my dorm, that was the biggest thing that scared me about college, moving into a dorm. Okay. And I was one of those people, I was just like, I don't want to live with anybody else. I don't want to share my stuff. Like, what if they get into my stuff? What if my stuff mixes with, what if they're dirty? When my cocoon broke, when I came in, it was they have the welcome week for all the students. We moved in kind of like a week before classes started, so we were kind of getting acquainted, and they had welcome week. I was not trying to. I didn't come out all welcome week because I was just so scared of like, okay, my roommates, they may think I'm weird. They may not want to go out. I don't have any friends here. I didn't know anybody because everybody in my hometown kind of just stayed back in my hotel or they went, different places in their lives. So it was just me by myself in Troy. So my roommates came in. Like I said, I have not said 2 words to these girls. They come in my room, get up, we're going to the block party. And I'm like, what? Like that was their first words to me is get up, we're going to the block party. And I met so many people that night. I laughed a lot, laughed a bunch, like just came out of my shell, like we understood each other. And it was after that, it made it so easy because
You
next
just
year when I was in a
oh,
dorm, I had a roommate and she was just like, hey girl. I was like, hey girl. Like I loved it.
yeah. What did you think when you came to Atlanta for the first time and drove
Oh,
on 285?
oh my gosh. When I moved to Atlanta, okay, I was deathly afraid because I'm from Columbus, Georgia, right? So still a small town,
Right.
not too many highways. Phoenix City campus is right there. If I ever needed
Right.
anything, go across the bridge, still a 2-lane highway. I
Exactly.
came to Atlanta and it was a 6-lane highway, 7-lane highway, and I'm just sitting in my car driving, like, oh my gosh. And when I got here, I called my mom and I was like, I do not like it here. I hate it here. She said, Haley, it's been a day. What do you mean you don't like it? I was like, I don't like it. I don't have friends up here. I don't have anything. So I started just like networking within my job
Right.
and networking with vendors that come and work with us and clients that we have. And it's a girl, her name is Tori Murray. Love her so much. She was the first vendor I'd ever talked to when I got this first job trying to find security tools. And we go to girls' night now and we just go around the town and stuff. So you learn how to make friends. But that would have never happened if my roommates did not come in my dorm and say, get up, we're going to the block party. I would
Right.
have still been in my cocoon.
I don't know about that, but well, I can't thank you enough for sharing your experiences, and I can't wait to see all your many successes
Oh, yes, of
down the
course.
road. You just I always ask people to keep me posted. I'm all I have to
Yeah.
say an email. I keep the same phone number for 20 some odd years. I'm afraid somebody will need me. I won't have it. But
Oh, that's the thing. I love that too because at Troy,
yes,
all of my professors that stay in touch, that's one of the keys, right?
right.
Because just when you think your professor does not know your email and doesn't remember you, when you email them, I think it was like a month ago, I emailed Dr. Bowler, Miss Rouse, Miss Thomas. I was like, I just want to say thank you,
Oh,
right? Because I made it here and I got my first network security. I was like, oh my gosh, so great. And I just told them like, thank you for, what you're doing and all this stuff. And They all responded back. It was such loving
Oh,
responses, and Miss Thomas was like, "You don't know, this made my day." So
oh,
just know that your professors remember you and what you're
really
doing,
do.
and they really want to see you succeed. That's the biggest thing. They want to see you succeed as much as you hate that class. You will realize when you get into that workforce, like, I learned this in such and such's class. So just don't be afraid to send those thank you notes, those thank you emails. Just, you don't know, it could
Gratitude
make
is
their
a very,
day.
important characteristic of successful people too.
Yeah,
Being and grateful. That's
right.
also
Of
something we
course.
teach. I think, in your family life or university life, you can't ever go too far with saying thank you.
Yeah,
And
for
and
sure.
thank you for. I know these kids are going to have a great amount of success here